Hey everybody, Xandros here, and it's that time of year again. That time of year where we cut into some turkey and have a slice of pumpkin pie. That's right, it's Thanksgiving here in the United States, and it's that time of the season where we talk about how thankful we are for things. Whether it's for our family or our close friends, maybe the fact we even have a job. And we do this because we know that there are people out there that don't have even one of those things. And while there are more things than that to be thankful for, I figured I would go ahead and do something in the name of the season. And I want to talk about something that I want to give thanks for. And you know what? That thing I have to be thankful for is video games.
Ah yes, video games. For over 2 decades, I've traversed the stars, traveled across fantastical lands, and taken down evil regimes, all from the comfort of my home. Yes, folks, video games have brought humankind so many tales of adventure, or just a way to interconnect with other like-minded individuals to have some friendly competition. No other entertainment medium in the world can bring the depth of experience that a video game can. And for anyone who has played video games, there are some that tug at heartstrings more than others. Those games that left us with a smile on our face, or a tear in our eyes. And that's what I'm here to celebrate today. Now remember, this is just my personal list of favorites, so if you don't see your favorite on here, then don't worry. You're welcome to still love your favorite game, even if it's not one of mine. But this isn't going to be a regular top 10 list. There are only 10 spots, but I'm going to be cheating just a little bit on this one. Just letting you know now.
So you say let's get this started. Let's go ahead and count down my top 10-ish favorite games of all time.
Number 10. GoldenEye 007 for the N64. Oh, GoldenEye, why must you still be so much fun even after all these years? This game right here cemented the first-person shooter multiplayer genre in the minds of many gamers. Released all the way back in 1997, this gem of a game has become a staple of any N64 collection. I remember me and an old friend used to sit at his place and play for hours, either trying to one-up each other doing solo missions or seeing who was the best sharpshooter in 1v1 combat. It doesn't matter who you are, when you see this game, you are obligated to pick it up and try it. You just aren't a gamer to most people unless you actually dive into the side venture. While the graphics haven't aged well at all, it still has all of its charm. That and the fun gameplay make it a fun romp to this day. One of those games that guarantees you and those you play with will be friends for life. Unless you're that person that picks Odd Job. Seriously, fuck that asshole. Number 9. Fallout 3 for the Xbox 360, and The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion for the Xbox 360. And here's why I said this was a top 10-ish list. Yep, there are a couple spots that house not one but 2 games, and for good reason, I promise. You see, with these 2 games, you have 2 of Bethesda's best games. Fallout 3, released in 2008, put you in the tacky blue jumpsuit of the Lone Wanderer from Vault 101, and you must survive the capital wasteland to find your father James, voiced by Liam fucking Neeson, and along the way, unravel the mystery behind your birth, your parents' secrets, and the dangers of the wasteland. Also developed by Bethesda Game Studios was The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion in 2006, where you take on the role of a lowly prisoner with a destiny to shape the future of the country of Cyrodiil, as well as the entirety of Tamriel. Ordained by King Uriel Septim, voiced by Patrick Stewart, you must help his illegitimate son ascend to the throne and thwart the invasion of the Daedric prince Mehrunes Dagon from opening the gates of Oblivion into the world and sinking the world into destruction and darkness. These 2 games allow you to mold your character to be however you want, whether a person who seeks justice for all or someone who only seeks power for their own gain. Both games have fantastic stories, great gameplay, and have an atmosphere that is hard to top. For me, it's hard to pick one over the other, and both being made by one of the best gaming companies out there with a pedigree that is nearly unrivaled, it's not hard to see why these 2 games tie. And it's not just me, because long before this list was made, Bethesda put both of them in a double pack together, so hey, you can say it's cheating, but you know what? I don't care. They did it first. And that's why, for me, these 2 tie for number 9. Number 8. WCW NWO Revenge for the N64, and WWF No Mercy for the N64. Yep, we're jumping right back to the N64 already, and once again, this is a double spot. You see, I was a big wrestling fan during my youth. This was back during the late 90s and early 2000s during what was known as the Monday Night Wars, which was the biggest time for wrestling in the modern day since the mid-80s. fans. And with this height of popularity came two of the greatest wrestling games of all time. WCW NWO Revenge, released in 1998, was one of those games that just was a groundbreaker. It was 60 playable characters, 6 different arenas, a championship mode which allowed you to capture not 1, but 5 different championships. Not to mention the kick-ass intro. Made on the engine that was used in the previous game, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, this game surpassed its predecessor and became a standout on the N64. That is until the same company that made this game jumped ship to the WWF to produce WWF No Mercy a few years later in 2000. And this game completely overshadows it technologically, with more than 56 playable characters at the start with another 19 unlockable ones later on, not to mention more arena choices, actual music from the TV shows, create a wrestler, branching storylines in the championship mode, and a laundry list of other unlockables, and a laundry list of unlockables. This was without a doubt the pinnacle of N64 wrestling games. And see, the problem is, for me, I was a fan of both companies. I mean, I couldn't pick WCW over WWF, and I couldn't pick WWF over WCW. I had favorites on both sides. And even now, I can't, because without one or the other, we wouldn't have had this awesome time. And it wouldn't have been horribly boring like it is now, personal opinion and all. But here's the thing. While WCW NWO Revenge may not be as good in a lot of ways as WWF No Mercy, I feel it's still a solid game, and in fact I still like playing both of them from time to time, so I'm not going to pick one or the other. These are both heavyweights in my mind, and that's why they both deserve my number 8 spot. Number 7. Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube.
Alright, seriously, who here doesn't like Super Smash Brothers?
I don't.
You get the hell out of here. No, not you guys. No, just that guy in the back. Asshole.
Anyways, for those of you who have played the games, I can bet every one of you has one of the series that is your favorite of the bunch. For me personally, it's the GameCube installment. Released in 2001 and developed by HAL Laboratories, this game set the standard for the series going forward. Everyone compares the other installments to this game. Either it's worse or it's better than Melee. Melee improved not only in the graphical department over the original N64 game, but improved the combat mechanics and controls as well. Fast-paced and better handling made this the ultimate dorm game for many years, and even to this day is still considered one of the best in the fighting game genre. Hell, me and a few of my friends would spend so much time training against level 9 CPUs just to make sure we were top-notch for our matches against one another. That's how intense it would get, folks. Playing free-for-alls against 3 level 9s was practice. Not only did it more than double the amount of playable characters from the previous version, it also brought Fire Emblem to the attention of the American public for the first time. That's right, if it hadn't been for this game, we wouldn't have gotten any of the Fire Emblem series games here in the US. But thanks to Melee, we've been getting them here since 2003, including the ever-awesome Fire Emblem Awakening for the 3DS. With a solid roster, memorable stages, and the ability to change the course of gaming history here in the West, Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube more than earns its spot on this list. Number 6. Persona 3 Festival for the PlayStation 2. Now, this is a funny situation. This game was a random pickup at a GameStop. I honestly never heard anything about the Persona series. And I didn't realize it, but I just picked up one of my favorite games. A mix of JRPG gaming as well as social simulation. It's something that sounds like it wouldn't mix, but strangely it does. Released originally in 2007 and then the updated Festival Edition in 2008, in this game you play as a second-year student who moves to the city of Iwadodai, where after the clocks strike midnight, the citizens of the city are subjected to a weird anomaly known as the Dark Hour. During the Dark Hour, the people of the city are transmogrified into coffins and are not aware of the world around them. However, some people are not affected by this change and are then subjected to the full onslaught of the mysterious hour. It bends reality and transforms the school our heroes attend into a large labyrinthian tower full of horrors known as shadows. Along with your fellow SEAS members, the specialized extracurricular execution squad, because of course there's going to be a tongue twister in this, you take on these dangerous entities using the power of Persona. The Persona is a second soul that dwells deep within a person's heart that emerges when confronted with something outside their world. I love everything about this game. The character design, the animation, the gameplay, and especially the music. The tracks are upbeat, fast-paced, and unique. Aside from that, it also deals with some really intense topics. It delves into feelings of remorse, hatred, jealousy, and many other things about the human psyche that invokes fear in people. I mean, for a random pickup, you never would have thought it'd be something like this, but it really became one of my favorites of all time. Usually picking up something random gets you something meh at best, but I ended up with something that I was really happy I picked up, which is a very rare occasion for anyone. I highly recommend this game. You'll grow to love not only those that come to you into battle, but those who you build social links with throughout the game. Seriously though, go give this game a try. You won't regret it. Number 5. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic for the Xbox and PC. I'm sure by now you're starting to see a trend on my list. RPGs make up a majority of it. From here on out you won't be seeing any first-person shooters or fighting games. Just a fair warning. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the game that absolutely no one is surprised is on this list. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, or KOTOR for short, is considered the best Star Wars game ever made. Developed by BioWare and released in 2003 for Xbox and PC, this game married the Wizards of the Coast Star Wars RPG with the gaming pedigree of BioWare. Prior to KOTOR, BioWare had made games like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights. Using the then-new Odyssey engine, they made a game that not only captivated Star Wars fans who had loved the original movies, but expanded the universe with a rich history that didn't exist outside of the extended universe of books and comics. Taking place roughly 4,000 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire, you play a character who wakes up to find themselves on a Republic ship known as the Endar Spire that is being attacked by the forces of the Sith Lord Malak. You find yourself fighting through the ship and making your way onto the planet below through an escape pod. From there you begin a journey of your choice, either becoming a Jedi who defends those who can't defend themselves and defending the Republic, or you become a Sith and try to usurp Malak's power and make his army your own. This game really helped to bring new life to Star Wars after the serious beating the series took with the creation of the prequel trilogy at that time. This was a game that no one saw coming, and we are all glad it did. An engaging story, brilliant characters, and the ability to explore more of the Star Wars universe that had never been seen in the movies was more than anyone could have asked for. This game is still a favorite of many gamers. Whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, this game is a rich experience, and I wouldn't hesitate to tell any one of you to find this either on Xbox or PC and get it. The fate of the galaxy is in your hands. Will you save it, or will you take control of it? The choice is yours. Number 4. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver for the Nintendo DS. You know, pulling myself away from playing the newly released Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby to do this video was pretty daunting. But by doing so, I get to do one of my favorite things. Talk about Pokemon. These Generation 4 remakes of the Generation 2 games Pokemon Gold and Silver released in 2010. With them, I got to revisit the regions of Kanto and Johto with updated graphics and the addition of Gen 3 and Gen 4 Pokemon. Now, I myself am a Gen 1. And I don't mean the type that bitches whenever a new game comes out that it's not as good as the originals. This remake brought the regions from my youth to a new generation of trainers and allowed for a much needed updating. And with the original versions of the Gen 2 games falling victim to faulty battery packs, it was a way to enjoy these games without worrying that you couldn't save. Whether it was hunting down the 3 legendary dogs or taking on the remnants of Team Rocket, I always find myself cracking a smile whenever I fire these games up. Even with the newer additions to the series over the years, these versions of the game have stood out to me as some of the strongest, not to mention the fact that you get to fight the greatest Pokemon trainer ever in the post-game, Red. This encounter is still a favorite moment of many trainers as you get to fight the original hero with your new hero. And you got to see what had changed in the time between Gen 1 and Gen 2, making these games the first true sequels in the series' history. Whether you love Ho-Oh or Lugia, you won't be disappointed no matter who you choose. So if you want to be the very best like no one ever was, be sure to pick up one of these gems for the DS. Number 3. Mass Effect 2 for the Xbox 360. What can I say about Mass Effect 2 that hasn't already been said? Mass Effect 2 is the Empire Strikes Back of the Mass Effect series. This game was an improvement over the first game in the series in many ways, streamlining game mechanics, updating graphics, and increasing the dark tone from the first game. The Reapers are coming, and Commander Shepard, the savior of the galaxy, is dead. However, with the help of Cerberus officer Miranda Lawson and the influence of her superior, the Elusive Man, Shepard is returned to life to help the galaxy prepare for the coming attack from the Reapers. Shepard must convince everyone in the galactic government that the Reaper threat that has been covered up is real. While doing this, you must gather together a group of daring, talented, and somewhat psychotic individuals to take on the servants of the Reapers, known as the Collectors, in a suicide mission to the galactic core. This game hits all the right notes in sci-fi storytelling, larger-than-life stakes, colorful and memorable characters, a beautiful score, and gorgeous landscapes and set pieces. This game far surpassed the original game and remains the best in the Shepard trilogy, and with every choice you made in the original game carrying over into this entry, it allows you to see some of the consequences of your actions. This game is a modern classic, hands down. Whether you play as a man or a woman, Shepard is one of the most charismatic people in the Mass Effect universe. Will you be a paragon of justice, or a renegade for life? No matter what you choose, you will still dance poorly.
Wanna dance? Watch this!
No thanks. I'm happy with just me and the music.
Number 2. Skies of Arcadia Legends for the Nintendo GameCube. Here's a game that seems to be popular, but not many people know about. Skies of Arcadia Legends was released in 2003 and is an updated port from the Dreamcast. In this game, you play as Vice, a 17-year-old air pirate and member of the Blue Rose. Together with your friend Aika and the mysterious Fina, you must travel the world to save it from the Valiant Empire's plan to awaken the powerful Gigas, gigantic living weapons of mass destruction. The Valiant Empire seeks to use them to conquer the 4 nations and spread its borders to all corners of the world. Taking on monsters, the Black Pirates, gigantic mythical creatures, and powerful nations, can Vice and his companions rise above it all to save the world and etch his name into the annals of history? This is a favorite of mine simply because it, like Persona 3 Festival, was a random pickup. I saw it sitting there all by itself in the GameCube section, and after reading the back, thought it sounded fun. I brought it home and was met with a fun battle system, very enjoyable characters, a solid fantastical story, hidden secrets all over the place, and of course, air battles. Now, you can't sit there and tell me you have never wanted to see 2 pirate ships fight in an aerial dogfight. If you're a completionist, this game has a plethora of things to find and collect, as well as new missions that were created specifically for this port. All in all, a solid game to add to any GameCube library. If you can find a copy at a reasonable price, go for it. There's a reason I have this game as my number 2. And my number 1 favorite game of all time is The Legend of Dragoon for the Sony PlayStation.
What? We're expecting Final Fantasy VII?
I honestly didn't own that game until after the PS2 had released, so when I think great original PlayStation RPGs, Sony's 2000 release, The Legend of Dragoon, is what comes to my mind. Set on the fictional continent of Indinus, you play as Dartfeld, a wandering warrior who is on a mission of revenge to find the creature that killed his parents 13 years ago. However, those plans are derailed when, as he's on his way back to his adoptive home, he is attacked by a giant green dragon. Upon reaching the town of Cells, he finds it destroyed at the hands of the Sandoran army, a rebel faction that is at war with the country of Serdia. From here, Dart is on a quest to find and free his friend Shanna, who has been kidnapped by the enemy army for some mysterious purpose. Along the way, he meets up with new allies and old faces from his past, and is drawn into not only a civil war by a royal house divided, but a series of events that could lead to the destruction of the world. Obtaining the power of the Dragoon, a dragon knight chosen by fate to rule over dragons, Dart and his allies must use their newfound powers to save the continent of Indinus from the dark machinations of an evil long thought dead, and try and uncover what connection these events have to the Dragon campaign 10,000 years ago. This was my first multi-disc game on consoles, a whopping 4 discs, with each disc consisting of a new country with its own conflict, but an interconnected story throughout. This is a story of intrigue, fate, death, and hope. It's a behemoth of a game, to be sure, and at times unforgiving. It was the first RPG I ever completed, and it was this game that sparked my love of RPGs, allowing me to have experienced the right mindset to enjoy them in both future releases and past classics. Many games on this list have this game to thank for opening the door for me to be able to really enjoy this genre of games. While the story can be predictable at times, I still find it to be a great time. I still have great memories of the beautiful backgrounds, the engrossing moments of the narrative, and the ambient music, and not to mention the game's main theme song, If You Still Believe. This game has been dubbed an underrated classic by the gaming community at large, and I wholeheartedly agree. While I was surrounded by people who couldn't stop talking about Cloud and Sephiroth, I was talking about Dart and Lloyd. They said Mako, and I'd say Dragoon Spirit. And I was lucky enough to actually enlighten several people who may have never experienced this game, and I hope to do so again here. I love this game. And even today, I have moments where either a moment or a tune from the game will seep into my waking thoughts and bring a smile to my face. It's for these reasons and so many more that I put this game as my number one.
And there you have it, folks. My top 10-ish favorite video games of all time. And I want to go ahead and take a moment to wish my fellow Americans that are watching right now a happy Thanksgiving, and for those of you that live outside of the U.S. or maybe don't celebrate the holiday, I want you to find a family member or a friend or a coworker, somebody, and tell them how thankful you are to have them in your life. You know, spread a little good cheer. I mean, it is that time of the year, right? And while you're at it, remember, enjoy a good meal, be safe, don't do anything stupid, and spend some time with a loved one. And maybe, just maybe, game a little. So until next time, my name is Xandros. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and have a pleasant night. I'll see you soon.